We've reached the World Cup semi-finals. After some great quarterfinals and with all the favorites advancing, we've got the 4 best teams we could have hoped for at this stage, and unusually they're also the top 4 teams in the FIFA rankings: France first, Argentina second, Spain third, and England fourth. Now, we have these 4 teams, and on the face of it, there's one clear favorite, which is the French team. In my opinion, they dismantled Morocco 2-0 in the quarterfinals. Even though it was only 2-0, they were so much better than them in that match, constantly pressing on their goal, much more dangerous, and they almost completely prevented Morocco from getting anywhere near their goal. In the end, Mbappé is the one who makes the difference. You can really see that Mbappé always shines so much more in the World Cup than he even does with his club teams because he's a player. International football is less organized and relies more on individual talent, which benefits him. He scored an important first goal, and once you're behind against France, it's hard to catch up. However, France hasn't faced a truly strong opponent yet. That's not a criticism, just that their path has been easy. They got Sweden, one of Europe's weaker teams, and Paraguay, which upset Germany but isn't a top quality team, just one that came to fight. And let's not forget Morocco, a team that France is clearly superior to. I mention this because much has been made of Argentina's path, but France's was just as easy, if not easier. Still, they fairly won their group and were set to face Germany and the Netherlands, but those teams lost to Morocco and Paraguay instead, which isn't France's fault. And in my opinion, they're still the strongest and most powerful team, especially in the attacking part of this World Cup, but now they're facing the Spanish team. The last time these two teams met, it led to a very entertaining game that ended 5-4 in favor of Spain after they were already leading 4-0 in that match, and France wasn't far from coming back. I assume this time it won't be like that. Let's bet that this time it won't be like that. But the Spanish team, which many say is a very dull team, if we're already talking about a tough schedule on their way to where they've reached, in my opinion creates the most interesting matchup for them, because so far Spain has by far the best defense in this tournament. In terms of expected goals allowed to opposing teams, they're leading everyone by a significant margin. I showed this in the previous video as well. They beat Belgium 2-1 after conceding for the first time in this World Cup in the match against the Belgians, and even there they limited them over 90 minutes. Just 32% possession for Belgium, 5 shots with 2 on target, and only 0.34 expected goals in this match. Spain, across the tournament, conceded just 1 goal, with less than 2 expected goals against them over 6 matches. As you can see, they're still leading the tournament in expected goals against, even though there are teams here that have played 3 fewer matches than them. And in my opinion, that's especially impressive considering the last 4 games. The Belgian team, the Portuguese team, which they completely shut down. Even though it's a small 1-0 or a relatively small 2-1, not a particularly impressive win in terms of the number of goals or their offensive explosiveness, they're doing it even though Lamine Yamal still hasn't arrived at the tournament. In my eyes, he's the main star who hasn't shown up yet, and still, the Spanish team is the one you can say, together with France, is the best. Ahead of their matchup, the French are probably still slight favorites, but it will be very interesting to see this matchup and how it develops between these two teams, who come into this game with completely different defensive and offensive momentum, with Spain supposedly being the one to neutralize the French. Because if on one hand we talked about France and also Argentina, who had relatively easy matchups, even though there are no easy games in the World Cup, then you can say that Spain had the toughest schedule to reach the semifinals, even if sometimes they did it a bit by the skin of their teeth on the offensive side. When we say by the skin of their teeth, we have to mention England versus Argentina. England faced tough matchups. Their win over Norway wasn't obvious at this stage. Plus, their 3-2 win against Mexico with only 10 men really showed their character. And here comes the stigma about the English, who are usually seen as having a loser mentality. This may be changing with the new generation, especially with Bellingham, whose partnership with Harry Kane is looking lethal. Kane isn't a typical striker like Haaland, who stays on the defensive line. He moves, drops back, and uses his strong passing to shift defenders. Bellingham benefits from this since there's no striker constantly occupying the center, making it harder for defenses to crowd the middle. About his first goal, I have to say it was an incredible individual effort. Yes, the ball hit the cables above and the goal should have been disallowed. I dislike the conspiracy theories that FIFA did it on purpose. It was a split-second decision that went unnoticed until later. It should have been disallowed, but I don't think it was intentional. Also, it wasn't a direct impact play, like a goal kick landing right at Kane's feet for a one-on-one. In the end, where the ball landed, it went to England, and it went to England at midfield. That means the Norwegians had plenty of time to react, and England had plenty of time to lose the ball again. Games have 100 attacks like that go nowhere. By the way, what was much more bizarre to me in this game was, first of all, the fact that Haaland was substituted in the 105th minute right before the second half of extra time. Because, I don't know, Haaland really had a bad game, he was barely noticeable, but it's Haaland, he's not a player who comes back to get the ball. Continuing what I said earlier about Harry Kane, he's a player who stays on the defensive line and he's there to poke in the goals to score with a single touch. In the previous game, they won 2-1 against Ivory Coast, and again, he didn't have a good game, but in the end, he poked in the winning goal. What amazed me even more was the fact that Sorloth actually didn't pass him the ball there. It was in the first half in one of the most selfish plays I've seen lately. At first, watching live, I thought the defender blocked his passing lane, but honestly, I can't explain it. Now let's move to the fourth and final national team. Argentina's national team, which beat Switzerland 3-1, also needed extra time after Switzerland received a red card. You could argue Argentina had an easy draw. Relatively speaking, their path to the semifinals was not simple or easy. In my opinion, if you look past Leo Messi, the Argentina national team isn't brilliant. But many teams that reach this stage, even major ones in tournaments like the World Cup, don't need to stand out. National team soccer is very different from club soccer, with no standout performances, just individuals who know how to work together. And that's pretty much the whole story of the Argentina national team, a team that works for Messi. But this time, Messi was only responsible for the first goal, with an assist from a corner kick. You could say it was a less impressive game from him, even though he made 6 key passes. And Argentina, after Switzerland was down to 10 players, depended on him and was completely stuck until Julian Alvarez scored that crazy goal he scored. After 5 games where he wasn't noticeable at all for the national team, he finally showed up for them, and Argentina obviously needs more players besides Messi to get past a team like England, which is really their biggest test so far. Even after Argentina's early 1-0 lead over Switzerland, they played poorly in the second half until Switzerland received a red card. The Swiss were pressing them hard near their goal. Argentina, they were just kicking pointless balls upfield, and the equalizer was inevitable. But I hear a lot of criticism as usual around Argentina about the refereeing and claims that the World Cup is being handed to them. I really don't get it. What do people expect from a player like Mbolo, who puts on a show in an area that's not even close to the goal, where no one is near him, no one touches him? Now, the new rule is the new rule. We also saw it in the United States versus Paraguay game with Almiron's fall and theatrics. Saying Argentina did this is wrong. They didn't even try to fool the referee. It's just his ridiculous theatrics. I can't describe it any other way. Despite everything I've said, I'd currently rank Argentina 4th in a quick power ranking. In my view, they're underdogs against England, and if they reach the final, they'll also be underdogs against Spain and France. They're the least impressive of the 4 teams, but it's only 2 games. Anything can happen. They still have a chance to win. If I had to give my probability, I think Argentina has the lowest chance of winning in this situation. England follows, and the Spain-France winner will likely be favored in the final. One thing is certain, out of the 4 teams we have left here, it's going to be a huge and historic final that we'll remember. In my opinion, overall, this has been a fantastic tournament, and it will also be a final that we'll watch together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's hope for a great World Cup ending that, in my opinion, has met all expectations despite these difficult times. The people of Israel live on. Alright, bye.